must achieve. But first I know it starts inside of me. If I can see it, then I can be it. If I just believe it, there's nothing to it. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Just spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. You see me running through that open door. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly.
Is that perfect with the roomie? Wow. I just want to thank everybody for being here, and thank you for that song that's so perfect for the quote. You were born with wings. Why prefer to crawl through life? Isn't that great? And then there's your song. Okay. So today, I'm so used to talking with my mask on. Today I want to just welcome Reverend Dr. Larry DeRusha, who is giving our inspiration for today.
Geez, I forgot my sparkles. But there's plenty of them here.
Just one big sparkle.
Yeah. So, I think this is the only suit I have left. So it's New Year's every day for me. Except I haven't worn a tie in so long, it's like, yeah, really, how do you tie it? So this morning we're talking about gifts anew. You know, I haven't heard that word in so long, I had to look it up. Anew, meaning again. So, what I thought about was, this is the perfect time between Christmas and New Year's to talk about our spiritual journey. And I want to frame it based on what Joseph Campbell wrote, The Hero's Journey. First time I experienced or ran into the work of Joseph Campbell was in the early 70s. And it was interesting because it was a memorandum, 7 pages, that came out from the head of one of the movie studios. And it said, all scripts from here on in have to follow the map of the hero's journey. Well, it turns out that was probably 4 years ahead of when Star Wars came out. Anybody remember that little movie, Star Wars? Yeah. That movie's gone on to make, I don't know, $2 or $3 billion over its lifetime. So the hero's journey was built into the film, and it was built in by George Lucas because he had just finished doing American Graffiti. And American Graffiti, he realized afterwards there was a pattern to what he had written, and he wanted to know what it was. So he started studying all the books out there. The one that really caught his attention was, what's it called? The Thousand Faces of the Hero. I can't remember. It's Joseph Campbell's book about the journey. And he read it, and he said, oh my gosh, my first draft of Star Wars, I had to rewrite completely. And he said, I used that template, and it worked perfectly. Well, it works perfectly because it's a template that's thousands of years old. Most books have been written based on that template. Most screenplays, television shows, you name it, all of them are based somewhat on this journey. It's a circular journey, much like, you can't see that, it's covered up now. It's a circular journey where you start and you make your journey all the way around and back to the beginning again. And I look at that as You start out as an innocent child, and then at some point you get dissatisfied with what is. Now that might happen in your early teens or your later teens or your 20s or your 30s or your 40s. Doesn't matter your age, but that sense of innocence begins to drift away. Well, the internet says that a spiritual journey is an individual and intimate quest to consciously deepen your insight about life. Well, that really says what Joseph Campbell was talking about. And a quest is also, he says here, it's the hero of 1,000 faces. That was the name of his book. 1949 he wrote it. And he says in it, a hero's ventures forth from the world of common day into a region of supernatural wonder. Fabulous forces are there encountered, and a decisive victory is won. The hero comes back from this mysterious adventure with a power to bestow the boons or the gifts on his fellow humans. Well, that's a perfect summary of that journey. We're all making that journey. We're all making the journey because at some point in our life, when we get that point of dissatisfaction, we want something else. Well, the truth be known is, from the moment that we're born, we come into existence. That essence of who we are is joy and happiness, excitement, and it begins to fade. As it begins to fade, we begin to look for it again. And when we're looking for that happiness, we're trained to look outside of ourselves for it. And that part of the hero's journey that's described here may apply to what's going on outside, but it's really a journey within. As Ernest Holmes would call it, it's involution. It's evolving in. What we try to do is evolve through looking out. So as we get the call can come in different ways. He says, maybe you feel lost in life. That's one. You long for a place that feels like your true home. 2, you keep wondering. 3, you keep wondering what your meaning or purpose is. How many of you have done that? Yeah, nobody, right? You feel like you have a big destiny to fulfill, but you can't figure out what it is. That's a call. You sense that there's much more to life than meets the eye. You're experiencing strange synchronicities. I love this one. Things seem to happen, and you just can't explain it, but they all come together. You're shedding your old self and transforming, but you don't know who you truly are yet. You're in between two worlds, as Rumi would say. You experience bouts of melancholy, depression, or an existential crisis. Who am I? What am I about? You feel extra sensitive, extra fragile. It's another one. All of these are a call from within. All of these are the heart wanting to break forth, to break that covering that surrounds it. A lot of what you once valued seems meaningless or empty. And then it feels like the rug has been pulled out from underneath you and you're falling and you don't know where you're falling to. That's really, that last one is interesting because a lot of the mystics who've had an enlightened experience, they've broken through this limited sense of what's going on. That experience has come to them with that sense of the rug being pulled out. I remember Adishante talking about, he was a Zen meditator, and he was teaching some yoga during that time. Excuse me. And he said, you know, it was really weird. I was walking in the house, and as I was walking in the house, all of a sudden the floor fell away from me. And then he said the walls disappeared. And he said I couldn't stand up because I couldn't figure out where my balance was. And he said, finally, I just collapsed onto the floor and I waited. The roof was gone. I could see the stars. It was the middle of the day. And he said, I had no idea what was happening. And he figured it out. It went away. And then he said, I didn't want it to go away. I loved it. So now he was reaching back to try and have that experience again. One of my favorites from India is Nisargadatta. Nisargadatta was raised in extreme poverty. So at 7 years old, he would go out on the streets and he would find cigarettes. And he would get a bunch of those cigarettes together and then he would go sell them because he wanted to make enough money to help his family. He sold cigarettes until he was about 16. And at 16, he had this sense of there's something more. I need something more. And he started his journey. He left town. He was in, I think it was Bombay at the time. Left town, and he's going to find somebody who can help him. This is part of the spiritual journey. The spiritual journey, the first one is you meet someone or some supernatural thing that helps you, that boosts you along. At some point, he found his teacher, and he spent a year and a half with his teacher, and then his teacher died. And the moment that his teacher died, he had that experience of everything changing. He realized that what he had invested his perceptions in was a limited world. And there was infinite within. He went on to teach a very small group of people over the next 30 or 40 years about the direct path, it's called, at Vaita Vedanta. So the call comes in many ways. So my question is, what or how did your call come? When did it come? Did you know it? Sometimes you don't even know it. It's so subtle. Other times, like Adashante, it hits you. Oh, I need to go on this journey to find myself again. Or maybe you're just looking for the happiness that seemed to have dissolved away. So the call comes, that's the first step in the process of the journey. Now, one of the things is sometimes that call is so strong, we don't want to deal with it at all. In Joseph Campbell's words, we refuse the call. We turn away from it. We want to go back to comfort, security, and not to something we have no idea what it is. And when that happens, then you kind of move from there into the universe starting to give you things that are getting your attention, getting you back on path, bringing you to the point where you know who you are in this journey. As you start out, you're one thing. Where you finish is something completely different, just like the butterfly, going from the cocoon into the butterfly. The journey then moves from, so there are 12 stages to this, or 17 stages to this, but I'm only going to go through the 3 general headings. I will put the information on our website about all 12 of the different stages because they're really powerful to understand, and it's a clear roadmap for us. And so you can look at, oh, I'm in the initiation stage. That's where this is happening. And I can understand what that means, what's happening. So the call has come, and the next step then in that process, once you know, how did you get the call, is then we move into what's known as initiation. Now, initiation is where you begin to experience the trials of life. Problems show up, small problems, and they grow, and they get bigger. We're now being tested. We're being tested to see whether we really have the strength to go in and find out who we truly are, because when you get there, it's a complete different territory, and there were no maps for it. And there are no maps for it, because it's individual to every single person. As Joseph Campbell says, it can take you so far, a map, but a map is only a map. It's not the territory. You have to get to the territory. You have to get within yourself to the point where you launch into, you can do it in meditation, you can do it in chanting, you can do it a whole variety of ways, and it can spontaneously happen to you. That's the one I would like. I don't want to have to go through all the trials and tribulations. Oh, that's right, I've already gone through a lot of those. And in fact, we got more of them this last couple of years. And so, the quest for me when I was a teenager, I had raised Baptist, evangelical Baptist. And I was always intrigued with it, but the only reason I wanted to go to Sunday school is because they had tinker toys and things to play with. And when the teacher would start talking, I would tune out, and I would turn the radio on, which was not very accepted at that time. But I was intrigued, and my parents loved the Bible, so I read the Bible 2 or 3 times. I read it 2 or 3 times because I couldn't understand a word it said. It was so confusing to me. Later on, when I was probably 10 or 11 years old, I watched my mother watching a soap opera, and I went, that's the Bible. There's all the same ingredients in it. So my call came probably around 18 years old, and I was one of those who refused it. So I was going on to go to California Baptist College and become a Baptist minister. And I refused that call. I didn't like the idea of doing all of that, whatever. And so I changed my my career path, and I started studying science. And in the process of studying science, somehow I got intrigued by writing and televisions and movies, and off I went in another direction, and then came back into science later on. So the trials and tribulations, when you refuse this call, the trials and tribulations that begin to show up get stronger and stronger until you begin to move back towards the path, back to that which is calling you. And they can be, like I said, they can be any kind of obstacle, any kind of issue. Anybody recognize that they've had any of these kinds of things going on? Obstacles, upsets, trials, testings, tribulations. You can take this as you're on your journey and hopefully you're going to step 3. But the initiation is part of how we transform. How do you deal with the kinds of things that are going on? The simple ones, the little tests, it's like, okay, I got through that, that's no big deal. But what are the ones that are crises that hit you? The existential crisis, for example. You're caught. You don't know what to do. You're going to go this way or you're going to go that way, but you can't make up your mind what to do. You don't know where to go. You're basing everything on what's out here and what your mind is screaming at you. And how you deal with that helps in the transformative process. It might be that you might have gone through a death experience. You might have gone through a car crash. You might have gone through something very severe and been disoriented for a period of time afterwards. I remember when we had our car accident, when we were traveling down the road and we hit some black ice, and then we went parallel and drove across the freeway directly into the wall. And as we were sliding sideways and starting towards the wall, I saw the hugging Saint Amma right in front of me. And I just took a breath and relaxed. And we hit the wall. And the car went up, and normally it would have gone completely over at the rate we hit it, because of the angle that we hit it at. The last second, the angle that we hit a little bit more ice apparently, and it slid slightly this way. And so the car went up and then came down in that meridian in between. So we were out of all of the lanes of traffic and up against that concrete divide. In that moment when Amma came to me, it's not that she said anything, I just saw her. And that's one of the things we have to recognize. These are the kinds of moments that become transformative if you don't refuse them. It opened the door even more for me in terms of understanding. So we've had the call, and we've gotten into now the next step, which is these trials and tribulations that are going on. So think about the call that you had, and think about the trials and tribulations that you've gone through, and recognize this is the path of being a human being, moving to be that transformative spiritual being, so that we can get to the point where we recognize the truth of what we knew when we were a child, that innocence. Everything is what it is. It doesn't have to be any different. So the next part is we arrive at the stage where we find the reward. On the hero's journey, he's taking this journey to find something. So we're saying, taking the journey to find yourself. When you get the prize is the boon you're going to bring back. It's like being enlightened you bring to everybody around you. Being excited and joyful you bring to everybody around you. What you learn is what Ernest Holmes has been teaching for 100 years, and that is we are limited. We're limited in who we think we are. It says it right there. Excuse me. You were born with wings. Why do you prefer things? Why do you prefer to crawl? It really is saying that we believe everything is finite. The truth is, from spirit, we're not. We're infinite. My cough is catching, I think. I'm dry, that's what it is. We are infinite, but we have forgotten who we are. Ernest Holmes said, the trained mind is much more powerful than the untrained mind. And what has happened is we've started this journey and we don't have any tools. We don't know what to do. We're not even sure where we are on the path. We're just taking a path. Sometimes it just guides us this way and that way. He says, look, spiritual mind treatment is one of the great things. It's affirmative prayer. Prayer is meditation. Prayer and meditation were synonymous thousands of years ago. But when you do your prayer, when you do your treatment work, you have to stay in that positive frame of mind. And what happens is we often get off track and we do a treatment and then we sabotage ourselves by saying, well, that can't happen. Well, maybe it'll happen for me. The moment that doubt comes in, you've turned that into your new treatment. And what happens is you go, well, this doesn't really work. And over and over again you try, and the more times that you fail at it, the more you're proving what you believed to begin with, that it couldn't be true. We move from that infinite to that finite, and everywhere we look, we see that, and it's a small window of perception that we're looking through. We're not seeing the infinite. When you look out at night, for example, remember Jupiter and Saturn just had their conjunction? When you look out at night, at the sky, think about what you're looking at. We don't know where it ends. It's endless. It's infinite. Isn't that amazing? There are trillions and trillions and trillions of stars. Or like Carl Sagan said, there are hundreds of billions of trillions of stars. And they go on, as far as we can tell, they go about 13.8 billion light years out. Anybody know what a light year is? A light year is the speed that light travels, 186,000 miles per second, over a year. That's a little bit of distance, isn't it? Yeah. And now make that 13 billion light years. That almost is infinite to my mind. We just don't have the concept of what it is for us to be infinite. The power that we have within us. We get so confused and wound up in our minds. We have so many beliefs in ourselves that are wrong, they're inaccurate, that we don't even know the truth about who we are, that we live from these shallow understandings of what life really is. And we live on the surface of it, doing the routines we've always done because we've always done them. Boy, if I could tell you that I could give you a pass and you could be infinite and unlimited in your powers, would you take it? The vast majority of the human race would say, no. Are you kidding? I like my house. I like my car. I like my job. I like school. I don't know about doing infinite. I don't know about this unlimited power. Besides which, you probably can't do it. Right? This is what the argument the mind begins to give to you. And then later, after you've refused it, what is it? Why did you refuse that? Infinite. Are you kidding me? The mind plays both sides of the equation. And we get confused. The journey, you get the call, and the journey you get tested on, and then you get to the prize. But what is the prize for you? Most people think the prize is, I'm getting a present at Christmas, the equivalent of it. It's not. It's the entire universe. You become infinite. When you talk to the mystics, Nestor-Gadata was a classic one. When he would talk to his groups of 5 or 10 people, he never referred to himself, and he never referred to himself in terms of mind and body. Somebody once asked him, because he was a horrible chain smoker, because he'd smoked since he was 7. They said, well, if you're infinite, why don't you stop smoking? And he says, my body has a habit. I don't. Now, what was he saying? He was coming from, I am more than this mind and body. This mind and body has a habit. I'm not interested in that. I don't care about that. He didn't. Ramana Maharshi went into the cave 7 years. He sat in meditation for 7 years, to the point at which, this might be a little gross, to the point at which it didn't matter which animals were nibbling at him. The reason why he walked with his hip out of joint is they had eaten away part of his hip. Because he didn't care about his mind and body. He was gone. He was off surfing the stars, I guess is what you would say. And yet, he came back into the body and he began helping others. Because the ultimate is, when you look around, all you can see is God, you're going to want to help, aren't you? Because everybody is God. Everything is God. The Hopi Indians, they said, the universe was created by Mother Spider, and it spun a web. And that web that Mother spun is all tied together. And wherever you pluck it, the whole thing moves and changes. Powerful, isn't it? Here we have, quote, savages who knew more than modern society about the inner path, the walkings. The shamans are the same. They know these things. They've gone through the call. They've gone through the trials and tribulations, the burnings, and gotten to the place of understanding where the heart is broken open. It says when there's so much pain in the heart, it will finally break open. And when it does, your whole world will transform. Meaning when you can no longer stand the suffering of the world, the suffering of your own life, you'll open up to something else. And when you do, you let go. You let go. Let go of what? Let go of trying to control your life and let the universe take care of it. A lot of people say, well, I would never know what's going to happen next. You don't need to. It's going to take care of it. If everything is interconnected, are you telling me if everything is interconnected that something doesn't know how to manage everything better than you? The problem is that our mind gets so engulfed and so caught up in it that we think we're just a point isolated in space. And we forget we're really connected to everything. When humanity gets to the point where they recognize this and realize this, we will be at the next level in terms of humanity's growth and maturation spiritually. If we don't recognize it, the universe will start over with us. And it has, in the Hindu culture, it has 4 times. 4 times human beings have gone extinct on the planet. And we're at the 5th. I don't know how many more we're going to have. So I think it'd be nice to get it right this time, don't you? Would you agree?
Yeah.
I think I'd run out and tell everybody, get your stuff together. Would you? So we don't go away again. So recognize the call. Understand that you have wings to fly if you pay attention. And that any of the trials and tribulations, look at them as a blessing because they're helping you transform on a path to the infinite. Yeah. The intersection between science and spirituality is what religious science is about. And there are many tools in the toolkit. I recommend you take classes on this. I remember actually teaching class on writing your own myth, the story of your life, but done in a mythological way. And the people in the class, when they would come to the final class, they'd have their story. And when the stories were read, they were like unbelievable. They were so good. And they completely represented their life. And what happened was, once they got it out into this mythical landscape, they began to see it differently. They began to see the journey that they were on. It was very powerful. At some point, I might do another one of those classes on it. And on Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, and we can go through the 17 stages and where you are along that path. Anybody have any questions? Oh, I see a hand out there at television land. So there's a question way in the back. All right, thank you very much.
We're going to have a quiz on that. Thank you, that was beautiful. We have a couple things happening right now. Tony's going to bring forth our special giving bowl. It takes your money and increases it in your wallet. So whatever you give back tenfold, pressed down and running over. Whatever you give, I just want to thank you. You know, I know a lot of times we give Christmas presents to friends and relatives and charities, and CSL is a nonprofit also that exists because of people's donations. We don't have like a mother office that gives us money. We exist because of the generosity of people that come here or watch us online or clicks, give. So whatever is your gift, I just want to thank you because you've been so generous this year. You've allowed charities to function. You've allowed the CSL to still be open and be able to have people show up. I'm excited about that. Some places have had to close down and everything's only online. And I love the fact that even if it's only 33 people, we get to celebrate together. So thank you for your gifts, for your generosity. I bless your gifts. I bless you to the highest and greatest good. And knowing that this is the last Sunday before the end of the year, some people have a special amount they give per year. This is the Sunday you catch up if you want to. Okay? And so it is. Thanks, Tony. Amen. And now before we do our next song, though, Sherry Lease, would you come up here a minute? Sherry Lease is turning 70 this week. And she's here every single week playing the bowls. This is from CSL. And you're going to have to open it before you come up to do the bowls and show people. But I just want to thank you for all you do. And this is from Larry and I. Happy birthday. So let's say happy birthday, Sherry. And now for Jared Nana. Thank you.
Another good follow-up song to the topic, I think. That was wonderful.
There's a big online.
Oh yeah, another great follow-up for this wonderful topic.
Have you ever seen the eyes of despair, woman on the street, walking bare feet, no one who cares? Have you ever stared deep into a soul, got lost in its beauty, just like a movie, it plays on its own? Have you ever felt the cold embrace of the first snowflake against your bare skin, forgotten your mistakes? Have you ever dared to ask yourself, did I live today? Did you know the answer is the same as, did I love today? It's a crazy, hazy world if we leave it in the hands of fear and separation. It's a world full of beauty if it's great or light. Love is one nation. Have you ever dared to ask yourself, did I live today? Did you know the answer is the same as, did I love today? Have you ever dared to ask yourself, did I live today? Did you know the answer is the same as, did I love today? Have you ever felt the cold embrace of the first snowflake against your bare skin, forgotten your mistakes? Have you ever stared deep into a soul, got lost in its beauty, just like a movie, it plays on its own? Have you ever seen the eyes of despair, woman on the street, walking bare feet, no one who cares?
That's just a taste of what you will get, their original songs at the concert today. So I'm so excited for that. I keep leaving these up here, and then when I get down there, pretty soon I'm going to have 5 of them up here. Let's just take a moment and move into prayer. And I'd like to acknowledge into her next expression on Christmas Eve day. And we bless her on her journey. And my brother Jerry, who passed away suddenly in December. The police had to open his house to find him because nobody knew what happened. You know, this is a time that a lot of us are experiencing sorrow from loved ones moving on. And we're also feeling joy at the memories. So I want to, us today, if there's somebody that you'd like to put into prayer for their highest and greatest good unfolding, just call out their name right now. Jenny knowing that that name goes into an energy field of perfection, an energy field of wholeness, that divine energy right now awakens within the peoples whose names we have called out in this chamber of prayer. And now we're going to call out our own name. Presence is divinely guiding us each and every moment. That we have wings that we can fly. That we have the opportunity to move through life at a new level, a deeper, higher level, an inner level. So we know we are guided. We know all is well. We know we live from love and peace and joy. We know that this holy season has affected each one of us. That we're allowed into that wholeness, into that oneness. I bless each one of us, knowing that we are the power and presence of Spirit, that we're walking a spiritual path, that that's important to each one of us. We awaken to that divinity within, and we know that we're guided, for that power moves us forth in greater measure. So as you take this week to begin reflecting on how you want 2021 to look like, what you'd like to express. We don't have to know exactly what we're going to do, but what qualities do you want to have present? Is there something big that you want? Just let that energy of the universe take that knowing request of yours and move you forward to its completion. So after the concert today, as we do the burning bowl ceremony, may each one of us let go of 2020 and move forth into our greatest 2021. For the power and presence of Spirit is our very life. Knowing that this is so, I bless each one of us as I release these words into that law of mind, knowing that they're done. I give thanks. And so I let it be. And as we say together, and so it is. Happy birthday. January 1st will be your birthday. Yeah. You absolutely do not go 70. I love that.
Mary Jane, our 20th anniversary is January 1st.
20?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Jim and Diane are celebrating our 20-year anniversary on January 1st. Wow. Congratulations. Anybody else having something special?
Kim's birthday is the 2nd.
Oh, that's right. Tim Sullivan is January 2nd. And we'll cover that next week. And Larry DeRush is January 7th. Yeah, I could go on and on, but let's get another song in here. So let's call up Anna and Jared.
All right, guys. Feel free to stand and sing along. Shout out to our good friends, Bob and Pookie.
Opening up to the good. I am opening up to the good that is my life. Joy. I am opening up to the joy. I am opening up to the joy. I am opening up to the joy that is my life. Peace. I am opening up to the peace. I am opening up to the peace. I am opening up to the peace that is my life. Love. I am opening up to the love that is my life. I am opening, 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 I am opening to the good that is my life. Fun! I am opening up to the fun. I am opening up to the fun. I am opening up to the fun that is my life. Song. I am opening up to the song. I am opening up to the song. I am opening up to the song that is my life. Dance. I am opening up to the dance. I am opening up to the dance. I am opening up to the dance that is my life. I am opening, 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 I am opening to the good that is my life. One more time. I am opening, 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 I am opening to the good that is my life. Good, good, to the good that is my life. To the good that is my life. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, we all love you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. It's a party. Happy birthday to you. We don't have so many anymore. Happy birthday, we all love you. Happy birthday to you.
I invite you to, you can buy your tickets for the concert in the Rising Up bookstore.